Hello, fellow Helldivers, Thornton here, and as we continue to fight the Illuminate, there's some upsetting news. It doesn't look like there's going to be an update today, at least according to Arrowhead, but who knows, maybe we're in for a surprise. But with that being said, we're going to talk about some stuff with wildlife and how it could impact the dynamics in the game in the future. But without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. So, we have been waiting quite a while this last month for something new to drop for Helldivers 2. There's been a lot of build-up with the MOs. In fact, the most recent development is actually pretty interesting. It does appear that Illuminate forces have attacked Tibet, and derelict automaton factories are located on the planet, but little else of strategic interest. So maybe the Illuminate are actually waking up some automatons to go ahead and cause a bit of a distraction or some fire. That being said, there was a question asked in the Discord saying, will we have an update tomorrow, which is today? And Jojo, the QA lead, said no. That being said, it isn't confirmation. Maybe something drops in surprise. It could also be, maybe a war bond gets announced today. As it was posted here, all war bonds came out after 6 weeks from the last, except for Urban Legends to Servants of Freedom, which took 7 weeks. Although I find it funny that they say it's an anomaly when actually that was probably due to the fact that it was a big expansion. Maybe that is what we're finally getting, as we have heard about that from Iron Sights. That being said, assuming Arrowhead are keeping up with the 6-week schedule, the next war bond should come out on May 1st. War bonds are typically revealed 2 days before launch, so if it is coming out on May 1st, then we would actually see a trailer today. If we don't see a trailer today, that means that we're getting probably a pretty big expansion, which backs up what Iron Sights has seen. So we're just gonna have to keep our eyes peeled today to see exactly what goes on. That being said, I want to talk about AI wildlife, which is in the game files and which I think would be a very cool addition. We do know that there is talk about factions fighting each other on the maps against us and running into maybe an Illuminate runs into a Terminate patrol, but there is actually some evidence that suggests that we are going to be fighting other types of NPCs that actually don't have any agenda whatsoever. So let's dive into it. Our stuff found in the game files right here, where it says a faction type Super Earth, faction type Bugs, faction type Illuminate, faction type Cyborg, which is the automatons, and finally a faction type Wildlife, which is going to be a new enemy faction or possibly neutral faction that will attack both fellow Helldivers alike and the enemies as well. And there's even more stuff, as there are voice lines for our Helldivers to communicate that we have found it on certain planets. I'll go ahead and play the audio files right here. These are found by Tier 5 NPC.
Alien wildlife found. Assessment. Adorable. Dangerous wildlife.
So as you can see, one of them is very cute and adorable. However, dangerous wildlife is also spotted, which does imply the fact that these things are going to be hunting us, or at least impacting our battles while we try to spread managed democracy. I think this would be a pretty interesting thing to come into the game. It fits very well with the lore, and there are a ton of planets that could bring this in. But before we explore those planets, the question is, well, we haven't seen any on the planets we have currently been exploring. However, that being said, there are a ton in the game files that are going to be coming soon. So let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the planets and let me know which one you guys think the AI wildlife will be coming to. Data miner extraordinaire known as Iron Sights, who if you've ever been on this channel before, you would have heard his name many a times, has shown us that there are 10 new planets that will be added to the game in the future. These planets include the Bug homeworld, the Bot homeworld, the Illuminate homeworld, the Mines of Zion, a Forest Cathedral, Heroes Bay, Coldith, which is kind of a funny name, Miasma 8, Darkwater Bay, Bug Quarantine, Meridian Leah, RP426 Eushurion, Outpost 31, Franklin's Retreat, and Protea 5, along with one called Hell's Cauldron, which, only makes me more worried about Hellmire. Regardless, in addition to the new planets, so it will be interesting to see who also, besides that Illuminate, decides to join the galactic fray. It'll be someone we haven't probably seen before, which makes it pretty interesting and tantalizing. Not to mention, there is a brief video of players getting dropped onto Super Earth, which looks really cool, and Super Earth doesn't look like what I thought it would. I was envisioning a lot of major cities and metropolises, but this does appear to be a very lush jungle atmosphere, and the bugs are here, which is also another interesting thing. How did the bugs get to Super Earth? Why are they invading us now, and what happened to allow them to get here? Are the Hive Lords here, or are we only going to see that on the Bug homeworld? But the addition of new planets and enemies are going to help to make Helldivers 2 a more balanced and diverse game. Here is actually a banner frame of all the new maps that we know of so far, with their images actually in it, which makes it very, very interesting, and you can get an idea of the biosphere that we will be playing on in the future so that we can finally get away from Hellmire. And Helldivers 2 is a great game with a lot to offer players. If you haven't already touched it, I highly recommend it. So that's everything we can be expecting in terms of AI wildlife, the construction of the space station. We'll go ahead and play some community clips right now, and remember, if you guys want to submit any, just shoot me a message and a DM on Thornton Smash on Twitter, and I will go ahead and upload some of your guys' gameplay.
Wait, countdown complete. We have to leave now. Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.
Reloading!
Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on wildlife making it into the game, and do you think it would be a good addition? Also, don't forget to check out this video right here where I cover more news on Helldivers on the daily, and until next time everyone, thanks for stopping by. Keep spreading managed democracy.